In the On Deck Circle with Don Klym on Amateur Sports TV. I'm Theo Tutkaluk. We're going to talk a little bit of softball here with Don. It's beginning of July, beginning of provincials, Don. Lots of action starting with the under-10s all the way up to the under-19s.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit what's going on. I guess obviously the under-10s are already completed. We've got the under-12s starting up this week.
Yeah, we got the U12 starting at Bueller this week. 35 teams or so in there, and it's going to be great competition. Weather's looking good, and also this weekend is our biggest provincial we've ever held in as far as amount of teams was the U14Bs out in Steinbach, so that's looking really big with 41 teams competing in that one. 41
teams, that's pretty impressive.
Correct.
Considering the amount of support and the amount of talent that's being brought up and the amount of players that are playing as well. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Absolutely, and along with those two is our male championship up in Norway House this weekend. We've got a U10, U12, U14, U16, and U19 events all starting. They're actually underway this afternoon with the U19 boys.
So how does that work up in Norway House? That covers a large geographical area, correct?
Correct.
So how many teams?
Basically, most of our male teams are from Norway House, Cross Lake, Peguis, or Fisher River, and so this year it's held up north, and the two teams from the south out of Fisher River are coming up to take part in that. Peguis is not involved in the championship this year, but again, there's around 20 teams in those 5 categories.
That's fabulous news.
Yep, it's great.
Awesome. So provincials are all on the schedule, or all on the website as well for the schedules too?
Yep, look up our website, softballmanitoba.ca, and everything's there.
Fabulous. So 41 teams, Steinbach. Bunch of stuff happening next weekend as well.
Correct.
U12s, 14s, 16s, all the way up to the U19s.
Next week we got a whole batch. Our A's start next week, our 12 A's, and following that is our 14 A's in Brandon, and the week after that are the 16 and U19s in Bloomberg as well, the weekend after that.
We have a pretty impressive week coming up here, starting I think July 5th with this Kiwi Cup.
Yeah.
Give me a little background on the Kiwi Cup and how important it is for softball here in Manitoba, as well as for the teams that are coming from the Great Down Under.
Again, yeah, it's great. It's the third year we've had it. It's been in Portage 2 years ago. Last year was up in Cross Lake, and this year we're hosting it for the first time at Bloomberg, July 5 to 7, Friday to Sunday this week. So if you're looking for some good men's fast pitch to come out and watch, that's the place to be, Bloomberg. We've got 2 teams from Peguis in there, 2 from Cross Lake, 2 from Winnipeg, and New Zealand.
So how does that work? Is it a double knockout? Is it a round robin play and then semis
we'll
and
break
finals?
it up into 2 pools of 4. From there, the top 2 from each pool play in a playoff championship.
So you hopefully see a couple of Kiwi teams and a couple of Winnipeg teams.
We'll see one Kiwi team, and yeah, it'd be great to have them in the host in the final.
That'd be a good time, eh?
Yeah.
So that's at Bloomberg this weekend, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we covered the Kiwi, covered provincials. Let's talk a little Westerns.
Western Canadians, again, provincials qualify. From our provincials, we qualify teams for Canadians and Western Canadians, and we're hosting the U14 Western Canadians at Bloomberg second weekend in August, and we're looking at a good 9-team championship there. 3 teams out of Winnipeg, and the rest out of Sask, Alberta, and BC.
So it's a good Western grouping, top of the line competitors.
Yeah.
And that one's held at Bloomberg as well? Or?
Yeah, and along with that, we're doing a demonstration sport 55 plus rec slow pitch.
Okay.
And again, we have a team out of Saskatchewan competing with 4 Winnipeg teams.
Is that something new we've done? Or?
This is the first time ever doing it. We're looking to introduce it as a rec and hopefully step it up to competitive in the years to follow.
What does it need to get to that next level from rec to competitive?
I think the demonstration sport will show the provinces outside of Manitoba that we do have a good legit program here at that age level, and again, Manitoba is the leaders there. We've got a 30-team 55 plus slow pitch league here for seniors, and it's taken off. The rest of Canada's looking at us and want to join in, so
sounds good. Softball is a big deal here in Winnipeg because we have such a short season to play it. Great in the evenings. I mean, you see a lot of the ball diamonds being used, and it's great to see the talent and the balls hit far and wide. And
yeah.
Is there one specific age group where we need to continue to promote in the U19 down to the U10s to see more participation?
Well, both ends, like our grassroots levels are really doing well. But the girls after U19, they're looking for more competitive fast pitch to play, and has declined a bit. And same with the men's, of course, with slow pitch coming in. A lot of our fast pitch has gone to the slow pitch side. But again, the stuff like the Kiwi Cup and the boys provincials up north, that's only going to improve it all.
That's fantastic. So now let's talk about the Western Canada Summer Games. With teams all picked, how do they prepare to play next month for those Western Canada Summer Games?
Again, it's a heavy schedule for the girls. They're involved, first of all, they're involved in other sports. They're involved in high school fast pitch. They've got their club programs, which have been going since Christmas time. And of course, a very dedicated program. They're dedicated to the provincial program. So the girls are playing 5 or 6 times a week, and hopefully they make it through August. And from there, they go to Swift Current, compete against Alberta and Saskatchewan, and right after that, most of the teams going up to Alberta to play in the Nationals, or else going to Westerns from there. So they're more than prepared as far as competition. It's just some rest and recovery and back into it.
So no rest for the wicked for that team.
Absolutely
They're
not.
going back to back. And you say they play 6 to 7 days a week. Now obviously they're playing on different teams as well, right?
Correct.
So how many times a week do you think they participate or practice as a Team Manitoba
Well,
group?
this weekend, for example, they'll play in a tournament with their club teams. Most of them are going down to the States.
Yeah.
They'll come back on a Tuesday or Wednesday, either play league ball, or else if there's 2 days available, the games team will come together and again practice. And that's only going to get busier as the month goes on.
For sure. Off air, we've talked about a team that went to Chicago, just got back recently.
That would have been our games program team. They did very well against a couple of elite teams, and ready to roll back with their club teams, prepping for provincials, prepping for Westerns, prepping for nationals, and of course the Western Canada Summer Games.
So how does a team like that get into tournaments in Chicago or into the States like that?
That's from experienced coaching staffs. They have contacts with their club teams over the past, and just to keep on, with those contacts, they're more than aware of what tournaments are out there.
So the tournaments, do these act potentially like showcases for some of these players that are potentially graduating from high school or looking into getting into ball in the States?
Yeah, there's college coaches out there. This past weekend, our girls actually had the opportunity to watch the Pro League, which our national team is now part of, and that's mostly in the Midwest. So the girls got to go on. Some of them were fortunate enough to do some hitting with the national team, and just opportunities like that. And again, national team coaches in the stands, and a lot of college coaches.
So they get a lot more observation
Yeah.
going into these showcases.
Great exposure for them.
Great exposure. Now we talked about rest and recovery as being the key vital points for this team, as well as their team, as well as any players that play softball or any sport here in Manitoba. There is a great resource here in the Sport Manitoba building. We talked about the physiotherapists, we talked about the gyms, and most notably the hitting cages that I wasn't aware that actually existed in this building. How do those help and aid for both the pitchers and the hitters for softball in particular?
Oh, it's perfect. We've got our academy that runs here 5 months through the wintertime. I mentioned that in our earlier show. And again, they'll use every aspect. On the second floor, we've got the physio. We have mental training coming in here. We have places for parents to just relax while the practices are going on. They've got the gyms to have full infield, outfield workouts. We've got our hitting cages and pitching. Everything's going on here.
So that comes. So if they want to get involved with that, they just come to this office here and then
anything
register,
they want to get involved with, they contact us. We've got a booking system through Sport Manitoba. Sport Manitoba gets them in, and that's not only open to the provincial team, but to any club team registered with us. They, if there's time available, they're more than welcome to use the facility.
So if I had to steal a term, membership has its privileges. It certainly does here at Sport Manitoba.
Absolutely.
Great. So I've been tested, or I've been challenged to take one of these fast pitch players, some of their pitching. So I might have to come visit her.
We could do it right now. Our student's in the next room here, and her arm's more than warm. If you want to walk down to the cages, we'll do it right now.
We'll look forward to seeing that pretty soon here. Thanks for joining us, Don.
Thanks a lot.
On the On Deck Circle here with Don
Great.
and Softball Manitoba.